At least 8 people have been killed and hundreds have been detained in Pakistan as protesters come face to face with the Pakistan military. Garrison towns have been stormed. The GHQ headquarters in Rawalpindi, the gates have been shaken by women protesters, supporters of Imran Khan, who has been sentenced for the moment to 8 further days in custody. What exactly is going on in Pakistan? Is this the beginning of the end of the Pakistan army stranglehold over the country and its politics? Or is this one faction of the Pakistan military against another faction of the Pakistan military? Either way, Imran Khan is in jail. Pakistan is in turmoil. Parts of it are up in flames. We've seen unprecedented images of the homes of top corps commanders being ransacked from inside and even torched and burned. Citizens are confronting Pakistani soldiers on the street and going on record to show their contempt for the Pakistan military. How will this all end? And should India be concerned? There are military veterans who've suggested that this might be the moment that the Pakistan military uses this moment to actually create a unifying deflection in the form of, God forbid, a terror strike in India. A lot to unpack here. Let's introduce our distinguished panel of experts today on the program. Ambassador Vivek Kaju, who's of course a senior diplomat and strategic affairs analyst, is with us. Dr. Aisha Siddiqa, one of Pakistan's foremost strategic affairs analysts and authors, is with us. Also joining us is Ali Moin Nawazish, who's a journalist from Pakistan. It's good to see you. Also joining us is military veteran, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, former Director General Infantry. And finally joining us is one of the lawyers who's been advising Imran Khan, Barrister Mohammed Ahmed Pansota. Pleasure, Ahmed, and thank you for making the time. I know you have to rush to the Supreme Court, so before we do anything else, let's get your first perspective. We've seen the first images of Imran Khan looking very serious in a chair. We don't know much else of how he is or how he's doing. His supporters have been suggesting his life is in danger. What do you say?
Well, first of all, I'd like to clarify that Mr. Imran Khan is in high spirits and he is facing the case very bravely. Even today in court, 90% of the matter was argued by him. He himself argued the case. He was very forthcoming, and I think he's all prepared to argue and defend his case very vociferously. Secondly, the matter is already before the Supreme Court of Pakistan. It is about to be taken up. His illegal arrest has been challenged, and the judgment which was passed by the Honorable Islamabad High Court has been taken to the Supreme Court. So I expect Supreme Court to pass an important judgment, and even apart from that, Supreme Court has ample power to put an end to this entire chaos and or whatever is happening in Pakistan. People are completely, filled up with anger, and they just want to protest on the streets because there's a sizable portion of Pakistani public that is supporting Imran Khan. So I think Supreme Court has the option of putting everything down right now, and it can ensure that things can go on forward very smoothly right now.
So you're saying, Ahmed, and this is an important point, that you believe the Supreme Court will or is likely to step in to diffuse the situation. You're hopeful of that. You're hopeful of Mr. Khan getting bail.
No, I think let me reiterate what I just said. We filed a petition challenging his illegal arrest, and that petition is about to be taken up in a matter of few minutes, I believe, or maybe in the next half an hour or so. So if that petition is taken up, and let's say Supreme Court reaches this conclusion that the arrest was illegal, then I believe first of all, that's a big relief for Mr. Imran Khan. And even apart from that, I think this can put an end to the turmoil or what's going on in Pakistan at the moment. I think Supreme Court can play a very, very important role through their orders, and under Article 1872, Supreme Court has the power to do complete justice. That is one of the most important provisions in the Constitution of Pakistan. So I think Supreme Court can play a very important role right now because the situation is quite precarious at the moment in Pakistan. And I hope it settles soon, because for us, it is very, very important that the country is not in this chaos anymore.
Okay, Barrister Ahmed Pansota, we're going to let you go. We know you're on your way to the Supreme Court, and maybe we'll connect with you again as you have updates. By the way, if the internet, thanks, Ahmed. If the internet is looking shaky to Barrister Ahmed, it's also because the internet has been blocked in several parts of Pakistan, and in fact, in several provinces, the army has been called in. Before I actually bring in Ambassador Karju, General Kulkarni, and of course, Ali Moin Nawazish, Dr. Siddiqa, I think you were the first person to make the point that there was an element of an intra-Pakistan army battle here. And I think you've written in your latest column as well, reinforcing that argument. For the outside world, what they see is the citizenry taking on the Pakistani military. in an unprecedented fashion. Do you see something different? Do you see something more complex going on here? Aisha.
See, couple of things. Firstly, that where I raise a question is the manner in which the crowds were allowed to kind of come and destroy some of the military properties. The Corps Commander Lahore's residence, which, by the way, had been vacated somehow a week ago. uh, so one could kind of, it's a realm of conspiracy theory, but one can still suggest that probably this action had been planned a week or 10 days ago, and they knew exactly what the reaction would be. The other thing which I wish you'd also invited Wajahat Saeed Khan to the show, and he had said earlier that you know uh, basically the way the crowds have been allowed to come enter parts of the GHQ, they haven't entered GHQ, but between the main road, there was this one gate on the main road, and then there was a main gate, inside where you go inside the GHQ. So there is kind of a buffer zone. So the crowds entered that part. Now, the interesting part I would like to point out is the two things which I want to quickly point out. One, that crowds have been allowed to go on a rampage. This is not, by the way, a Tahrir Square happening. This
Hmm.
is limited crowds. This is not large crowds, the large mobs in either Turkey or in Egypt, which had temporarily changed things there. This is a much lesser number, so you'll allow people to vent their anger until you settle matters inside. The other thing is that, in fact, I've spoken to people. Some of the crowd included some of the family members of serving military officers, rank of brigadier, colonels, etc. There is, and we already know that there is a divide at the law level. Junior officer cadre. So now we know there is some division within the mid ranks as well. But at the top, from what I've heard from my sources, there are at least three generals who were more supportive of Khan, and who were kind of pushing, not just supportive of Khan, but also very unhappy with General Asim Munir. And the way I look at this action against Imran Khan is uh, the army chief actually pushing back and saying, now it's the moment to strike. Now I want to end this controversy. I don't see, I mean, best of luck to Ahmed Pansota. The feeling I'm getting and the views that I'm getting from the other side in Islamabad is that the government plans to abide by those orders of the Supreme Court which support its perspective, and will challenge and not implement that part of the orders. I mean, say if the Supreme Court says, no, 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 this is a false. The Islamabad
Yeah.
High Court, by the way, has already declared his arrest legal. So they're not going to do that. And I feel that he is going to be kept in, he will be arrested and kept in incarceration until elections are held.
So I have to ask you one thing, and then I need to open it up. Basically, when you say this is not Tahrir Square, I think that captures, in a way, the essence of your argument. You don't see this as a mass people's uprising against the military. You think this is the Pakistan Army chief reasserting his control over the military. Am I kind of summarizing you properly?
Partly, what I'm saying is that the outpour, the anger, that is kind of genuine, but PTI doesn't have those kind of numbers which would shake up the military. I think there will be arguments happening. There will be a lot of convincing right now going inside the GHQ amongst generals. And by the way, all the other political leaders at the moment, PPP, PMLN, probably JUI, etc., are all speaking in unison, saying how these properties have been damaged, to build a case, to build a narrative that PTI is a threat to the military and to the state of Pakistan.
Okay, let's open this up. There's a lot to unpack here. Yes, these are unprecedented images. Aisha points to the fact that some of these homes that were ransacked were vacated in advance, pointing to the fact that there may have been parts of the Pakistan military that knew this was coming. That this is sometimes something playing to a script, not a spontaneous Tahrir Square-like rebellion. Ambassador Kaju, your thoughts?
Look, there is no doubt that Imran Khan is popular and divisive, and that he has polarized Pakistani society to a very large extent, and that there is support for him in the lower ranks of the army, the middle level officers, and perhaps among some generals. But at the end of the day, I cannot believe that the generals will not come together to defend their corporate interests. And I'm using the word deliberately because we have the foremost authority on the Pakistan army, especially its involvement in economic and financial affairs of the Pakistan state on our panel. Now, having said that, I think that General Asim Munir and the general supporting him scripted this extremely well. Yesterday, they picked up Imran and have sent a clear signal to all the other organs of state and institutions that they will not tolerate Imran accusing a senior general officer of involvement in murder, that they've drawn a line. The ISPR statement of May 8th makes that amply clear, and it's interesting that Imran was picked up in what I think was a rather brutal way on the 9th from the court premises, which is against convention. But he was picked up. And by the evening, despite all the bravado that the Islamabad High Court showed uh, in the morning and parts of the afternoon, by the evening, the Islamabad High Court had caved in and had said that the arrest was legal. Now the matter will go to the Supreme Court, and we have Aisha ji here, who was in the bureaucracy. Once the police has taken someone in custody and has arrested him, then a remand proceeding follows. And that is the proceeding here. I mean, after all, there was an arrest warrant. And this is not the first time that Imran Khan has played ducks and drakes with arrest warrants against him. So the judges in the Supreme Court, even though may have sympathy for him politically, would be hard put to give a reason why they will declare his arrest illegal and order his release. Now, that's one aspect of it. The second is, and it is here that I will, of course, bow down to Aisha ji's and our other Pakistani colleagues' superior experience of their country. But my feeling is that the Pakistan army deliberately allowed Imran Khan supporters to attack, the quote unquote, attack symbols of the Pakistan military.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, just one moment, half a minute more, because at the end of the day, I do believe that in any army, howsoever sympathetic they may be to an outsider, if they see symbols of the highest authority of the army, and we have a general on our show, luckily, if they see symbols of the highest authority of the army, like the general headquarters and the house of a corps commander, even if it's an annex, even if it is vacated, being attacked, then that is something which impacts their prestige. So that
Yeah.
was a very, very clever move to allow the upsurge to take place. Now the screws are being tightened.
Yeah.
And as far as I can see, and this is my last point, as far as I can see, it's now plainly between Asim Munir and his colleagues against Imran and the rest of the caste, Shehbaz, the government, the PDM government. This is a sideshow. I don't think Asim Munir can now simply afford Imran to come back into the political arena. And he will work to ensure that the PTI leadership deserts him in as many numbers as they can. And a message is sent to his supporters that the state will deal with them very brutally, and the Pakistani
So,
people know that the army can do that.
So you're actually not very far off, Ambassador Karju, from what Aisha is arguing, maybe a little bit on detail, but the essence that both of you are saying is that this is scripted, and this is scripted or planned rather at the topmost level. But I do want Aisha to jump in on this point. Sorry, General Kulkarni and Moin, I'm coming to you right after that, to jump in on this point of the symbols of the military authority, right? Today under attack. Surely somewhere the military will close ranks on that, or no? Is it some Machiavellian plot to deliberately
No,
allow
no,
it?
Barkha, that is, that my point is, earlier point is, this is why it has been allowed to happen. People just walking in, opening the gates of GHQ, walking into Corps Commander's Lahore's residence. The point I wanted to make was that firstly, it's interesting that this is a NAB inquiry, which hasn't even started. So now it's truly incidental that and interesting that Imran Khan, when he was the prime minister, also had not allowed an inquiry to complete before he got Mir Shakilur Rahman, the proprietor of the news group, arrested, which is one of the reasons that last year an amendment was made in the NAB law, the National Accountability Ordinance, that the chairman was no longer authorized to arrest, without an inquiry being completed. In this case, they have used one article of NAB saying that this guy is not cooperating, and therefore, so this is really an inquiry stage. But my fear is that now they will dump it. They will bring other cases against him. He would not be able to get out of prison that easily. And I completely agree with Ambassador Kaju that this is probably, maybe, if Asim Munir has his way, this is end of Imran Khan's politics for at least the short to medium term.
I, I was just going to say that, so instead of it being the beginning of the end of the Pakistan military stranglehold, basically what we're saying now is that this is the beginning of the end of Imran Khan's capacity to make a difference in Pakistan politics. A very different headline from the one we saw in the last 24 hours. General Kulkarni, let's bring you in. Go ahead, sir. General Kulkarni, can you hear
Thank
me?
you, Barkha. I think I would agree with the lovely analysis by the ambassador, as also Dr. Aisha, the way she said, because I know how much of the Pak army, after reading a book, having a multi-billion-dollar business that they have. So Pakistan army has, of course, deep into foreign policy, security, having the power to themselves and politics and everything. I fully agree. Right at this time, like they say, give a man a loose rope so that he hangs by himself. And this is exactly what the Pak army has done. Because the symbols, you can't have the corps commander's house being ransacked the way it has been in some of the pictures that everybody's coming out there buying and picking up things from there. Secondly, the Rawalpindi headquarters being attacked is indication, because the Pak army at this point of time were hesitating to take over power because they know economically is not the right time, because obviously they can do nothing much to improve the situation in Pakistan other than the law and order. So this is the only way where you find even the crowd, very little. It is hardly anything. Even if you say a lakh or something, I don't even count a few lakh. There are just a few hundred of people in and around there, indicator that the support isn't as large as they expect. And to be able to stand up to the Pakistan army in Pakistan is virtually impossible. I don't think so. So right now, this is an opportunity that has been given to, which has been taken by the Pak army, that the Pak army would be forced to now either the government goes in for emergency or the Pak army goes in for the martial law. So one of the ways in which that they are not keen, but yes, the situation forces them to take over, which the people of Pakistan obviously would much like a law and order in the country. Economically, well, slowly and steadily things may improve or may go bad, depend. But definitely law and order, because right now the political establishment and the army seem to be on the same page. The judiciary seems to be well. Right now, of course, they're given 8 days of custody on the Toshikana case for him. And even the the Accountability Bureau has asked for 14 days of his custody, which may or may not come, whatever it be so. Therefore, Imran Khan's now on the back foot. Because once he's in the custody, once he's a man out of sight is out of mind, irrespective of whatever. And even if he has following, he may not be having he has huge following, there's no denying the fact. But that following is not translating, because a lot of fence sitters, which soon they find that the Pak army, like they're already out on the streets to ensure law and order in all major towns of Pakistan. I don't think so. The Pak army has played its cards well. Of course, they wouldn't want to lose their reputation. And that's something which they're very, very particular and conscious about. And at this point of time, I think Pak army is right on top. The Imran Khan is on the back foot, and slowly and steadily, Imran Khan, they've been giving him a loose rope. He'll hang by himself, and therefore, that's slowly and steadily, like you rightly said, the beginning of the end. Yeah, Barkha.
So it's very interesting. It's such a different perspective from yesterday, when it looked like it might be one of the Pakistan military's weakest moments. Ali Moin Nawazish, how do you see it? Imran Khan is popular, but if he can't contest elections, what good is that popularity?
Yeah, I mean, I've been listening to a lot of the things that the other guests have said, and a lot of it I agree with, and some I don't. But I think we forget one major thing. This is one. Imran Khan is a popular leader, but there's no homogeneous popularity where you have millions of people on the road for him. There are some people out there, and obviously because the narrative that Imran Khan's been creating or telling his followers has been that, it's the military that ousted me last year, and they're keeping me from power, and so if I get arrested, these people are responsible, and that's where we're seeing this kind of reaction. But we mustn't forget that Imran Khan's demand at the core is not that, the military steps away from politics and lets him let some form of civilian supremacy come back. His demand is that he wants to be on good terms with the military again. Just a few days ago, Asad Umar had said, the army chief and Imran Khan should lock themselves up in a room and clear all their differences. So there's this subtlety that Imran Khan is not wanting to create this form of civil supremacy. He wants to get back on the establishment's good books and come back to power. So that's one central point that we're missing. Secondly, his arrest by NAB. Can
I ask you something? If Imran Khan wants to do a deal with the army, as you suggest, why does the army feel the need to arrest him? Is it to put him in place for the deal to come?
Well, I mean, that's what in terms of how he's trying to do it, and everyone around him and a lot of people around him are saying this will not work, because he thinks that he can keep on pressurizing, keep building this pressure, and hopefully force them to come to some sort of negotiating table. The army, from what I hear and from the sources that I speak to, the army has been refusing to meet him, and obviously there is he enjoys support. So the establishment, both judicial and military, right now is not homogeneous and unified within itself. But still, there's enough right now in terms of the power balance. The power balance is still stacked against him, even though he has sympathizers in both the judiciary and in some ranks of the military.
Okay, what I want to do is play out. This is one of many viral videos coming out of Pakistan, but it captures, in a sense, when the world looks at this, without the complexity that all four of you have, the Pakistanis in particular, about your country. When the world looks at something like this, they feel the Pakistan military is weak today. And I want to just play out this clip and say, okay, it seems counterintuitive to actually say this is actually a diabolical plot by the Pakistan army chief. This is one of the men on the streets of Pakistan openly today abusing the Pakistan army chief. Listen.
ये चौकी मैंने जलाई है, ये चौकी मैंने जलाई है। पाकिस्तान आसिम मुनीर, ये 5 लाख की बात, ये इसको समझ लो, ये मार दीजिए आसिम मुनीर। हम इसी तरह देख लो आसिम मुनीर, हम इसी तरह तेरा GHQ चलाएंगे, सुन ले चलाएंगे। मैं इकरार करता हूँ, लगा दे फांसी में इंशाल्लाह। तुझे होना चाहिए था वो भारत की सरहदों में, मगर तू हमारे खिलाफ आ गया है। आसिम मुनीर तू वायरल करो उसको, मेरी शक्ल देख लो। नहीं, कोई पॉजिटिव नहीं होगा, कोई पॉजिटिव नहीं होगा। नहीं, अवाम है, हम अवाम है, हमारा कोई उससे ताल्लुक नहीं है, हम अवाम है। मेरे इस बात को
So he's basically, as you saw, he's saying, addressing the Pakistan military chief by first name, not with rank, saying, "Meri shakal dekh lo, is chauki ko aag maine jalai hai." Now, Aisha, there's been this big debate happening in Pakistan. Are the people doing this, torching buildings, ransacking corps commanders' homes? Are they rent a crowd? Are they, is the Pakistan military looking the other way? Is this spontaneous? What is this? What's actually going on? It's counterintuitive to hear all of you say, when we see images like this, actually, you know what? This can't happen without some benefactors within the military.
See, I think it's important to understand that this kind of a pushback from the public. I mean, I'll insist on my earlier point, which is that these are people, but this is not a big crowd. A big crowd that would shake up or the entire military brass and say, oh, something is really going. This is this may be the end of our power, and let's change our our track. Compare it. I mean, I compare it what happened in Egypt. I mean, Egypt, the military, the pushback was so severe from the ground that the military had to temporarily surrender Hosni Mubarak, remove him, allow elections, bring Morsi. But then, once they regained control, the pushback. Morsi was forced. I mean, he was exhausted to a point where he died in prison, and Hosni Mubarak was acquitted. So I would say it's that kind of a trick. But this crowd is not something which is being, it may have that encouragement, but it's not. It's more organic there. I mean, it's already angry. I mean, look what's happening. Since the change of government, there has been, the IMF deal, the absence of an IMF deal, prices going up, high inflation, etc., etc. These people are angry. This is genuinely angry people, and do not forget that this is not the first time violence has happened.
So you're saying they're angry people, but they're not enough angry people.
Yeah, and just let me just very quickly remind you that we've had this kind of a violence earlier. You know, when Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto was assassinated in 2007. In 6 to 7 cities we saw severe violence in 6 or 7 cities of Sindh. People kill, people torch until Asif Ali Zardari, pushed back and raised his famous slogan of Pakistan Khape. So here, what we have is a leadership. By the way, since Imran Khan's arrest, they have arrested Asad Omar. They have arrested other Shah Mahmood Qureshi as well. So what they're trying to do here, this military, is closing rank. They're closing the circle around this protest and people, and basically will come to a point where either the party leadership is going to surrender and cooperate. Imran Khan surrenders and cooperate, or he's dead and gone politically. At least.
Interesting. Ambassador Karju, let's bring you in. I think this is one of those rare shows where we're almost all saying the same thing. In other words, what looks like this historic inflection point in the history of Pakistan, where the civilians are calling out the military, is actually the Pakistan military possibly emerging stronger than ever before when it comes to control over the civilian politics. Is that how you see it?
Well, I think the Pakistan military is showing that it is capable of playing a very deft political hand.
Mm-hmm.
It is allowing this upsurge to to be manifested. It is allowing a person like him, even though internet services, etc., have been cut, to come and abuse the army chief. Now, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but that is something that will go in favor of the army chief as far as his soldiery is concerned. Because, and here General Saab on our show would know far more. But howsoever angry and sympathetic, angry with some of the steps the army may have taken, the soldiers and the junior officers of the army will never accept their chief in a professional force like the Pakistani army being abused in this manner. Then they close ranks. And that has been my experience, that the army is a cohesive army. The Pakistan army is a professional cohesive army. Of course, like all forces, they have groups, they have divisions, there are differences of opinion. But when push comes to shove, when it is the question of the identity of the army, the izzat of the army, the izzat of the chief, then they close ranks. And that is where Imran, to my mind, made a fundamental political error. Instead of directing his fire continuously at the political level, he brought in the army.
May I interrupt? May I interrupt? Because we have a statement from the Pakistan Army. It actually reinforces just the point that you were making, Ambassador Karju. Can we also update this on the screen? Yeah, there it is. May 9th will be remembered as a dark chapter, says the Pakistan Army in a statement just released. What the eternal enemy of the country could not do for 75 years, this group, wearing a political cloak in the lust for power, has done. What the eternal enemy of the country could not do for 75
External
years.
Enemy or internal enemy?
It says eternal. Maybe they mean external. I don't know. Guys, is it, maybe I'll check that with my producers whether it's eternal or external, but eternal. Okay. Okay, Aisha. Okay, so what? Yeah, Aisha, you want to just jump in before I get the others to react? This is an interesting statement. Yes.
Yeah, I thought they were talking about you guys.
That's what we thought too, I think.
No. No, that's certainly a reference. See, I think it's just a very minor point. Ambassador Kaju is a point, but the way this whole ideology of sorts had been built around Imran Khan, it had become a Frankenstein as far as the military is concerned. And Frankenstein to a degree that it had kind of affected their ranks as well. I mean, I yesterday spoke with a serving officer's mother who said that I called my son and told him that I would rather be mother of a honorable soldier than a disgraceful general. And the crowd that attacked, by the way, tried to attack GHQ, it included some of the families of serving officers, mid-ranking officers. And there have been instances, reportedly, in Lahore, in Peshawar, and in Quetta, and one other place where soldiers have refused to follow orders. So there has been, there is that divide. And now, will the general try to control it? I mean, I'm not saying that it's gone out of control. He will try to control it either through purges, but either he limits his purges at the lower rungs, or he does the purges at the higher rung, because he'll have to do that in order to regain complete control.
Okay, let's actually take this forward. General Kulkarni, jump right in, and then Ali Moin Nawazish. We do have to start taking last comments. We have this. These reports coming in of how the Pakistan Army is responding. General Kulkarni, go ahead.
Barkha, first and foremost, firstly, of course, Pakistan itself is known for the 3 A's: Allah, Army, America. Of course, America is not there, substituted by China. That is one. Secondly, as the Pak Army itself is concerned, all said and done, has been in total control of Pakistan since 1947. It wouldn't take what Imran Khan has made it to look like. Yet another thing, Imran Khan himself has not come out clear in this Al-Qadi trust case. so much that he might accuse everybody of corruption, much that what is happening in Pakistan is due to corruption, and all the happenings are absolutely wrong. The Pakistani generals haven't proved themselves well. They have seemed to be absolutely corrupt, and for which the political establishment itself is involved in corrupting the generals of the Pakistan army. All of them are minting and making billions and billions of dollars and rupees or whatever you want to call it as. And so today, irrespective of whatever it be, you can't have a deal with who you call tycoon, I would say a mafia also, of a land, of a particular trust being created, university, nothing has yet been happening. So there's a lot, much that he may be accusing the army. You can't call a general again and again, dirty Harry, dirty Harry, dirty Harry, and all those kind of things that are coming up. And at a time and a place, a country where only the army governs, the army rules in full manner for almost 35 years, and the balance of it in remote. So at this point of contact, I feel Imran Khan, much that he could have done better, because he was a very popular leader, even when he was in power, being known as Taliban Khan, his association with Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, the Pak army going against Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, and the things, such a complex. Imran Khan himself has also not come out as clean as he wants to portray his image, and that is where somewhere down the chain, much that he may have a following, but that following is also questionable now.
That's a good point, and I think a number of Pakistanis, Ali Moin Nawazish, have made this point that it's not that Imran Khan has emerged from rebellion. He has actually emerged from being a poster boy of the military to being an unlikely sort of rebel as he finds himself today. But you made the point that he could be looking to cut a deal. Do you believe that there is still space where Mr. Khan is cut down to size, and emerges as one more civilian political force in Pakistan that will survive only with the blessings of the Pakistani army?
I mean, it depends. That's a $1 million question, right? It all depends on what Imran Khan does, what his party does. But I would say that, the number of red lines that the PTI has crossed or Imran Khan has crossed in the past few months, and red lines not just in the eyes of the military, but also in terms of neutral observers, in terms of the attacks on buildings, in terms of being militant. It reminds me of how the MQM was in Karachi once upon a time, the MQM of old. And we're seeing PTI take on this face that a lot of people wouldn't really be happy with. And in terms of, discussing this whole Machiavellian plot, and what we forget is what else could we have expected, right? In terms of if there's an attack on the Corps Commander House or in GHQ, you'd have soldiers taking guns and shooting at people. The analogy I would draw would be to the US Capitol attack under Trump. The police just stood there and let them do it. What else? What? It's not that easy to control such emotions in such a charged atmosphere. At the same time, the legal battles that Imran Khan faces, they're not cooked. It's not like they're cooked up. Like this case in the NAB, it's pretty clear that something wrong happened there, where the United Kingdom returned money which was confiscated from a property tycoon, Malik Riaz, saying that it was unexplained wealth, which was supposed to go to the government of Pakistan, but was returned to Malik Riaz by depositing it in the Supreme Court account. And the NAB actually upgraded this inquiry to an investigation, and it's going to be trouble for Imran Khan either way. So unless there is some sort of deal, but he does not seem to be going on the path that'll get him that deal anytime soon.
Yeah. So we have the headline up of the Pakistani Army press statement, May 9th to go down as a dark chapter in Pakistan's history. The news in Pakistan now headlining that statement, what the enemy could not do in 75 years, was done by a political cloaked group in lust for power. I think this is a rough translation, perhaps from the Urdu. General Kulkarni, I'm going to start taking last comments, so please keep your comments brief, all of you. General Kulkarni, other military veterans have expressed some concern that the one thing that could unify divided, troubled Pakistan right now is heating up the line of control or elsewhere in India. Are you concerned?
Definitely, we ought to be careful. We ought to be vigilant, because all said and done, I understand within the Pak army also, those colonels and below may not be seeing eye to eye, because Imran Khan has a good standing and popularity. Of course, sooner or later, everybody would know that in everybody is almost on the, when it comes to corruption, everybody seems to be having a pie of it in a very big way in Pakistan. Some may be having little less, some little more, but definitely there is something wrong with it. But as a neighbor, we ought to be concerned. We must ensure that no way our LOC must be protected and guarded. No way they should be spillover either on the terrorists or the people from the other side. And hopefully there will be stability coming soon in Pakistan with Pak Army, as I see, in about say another 24 to 48 hours, taking control of Pakistan.
Very, very, some might call all of us counterintuitive, but we're really going against the grain in our analysis. But I think the next 2-3 days will prove perhaps all of you experts right. I already see today as being a day of more control than yesterday. It's already shifted in 24 hours. Ambassador Kaju, does it give you a sense of deja vu? You remember when Osama bin Laden was taken out by the Americans and Yusuf Ali Gilani of the PPP, then Prime Minister, said the ISI is a state within a state, and everybody said this is the Pakistan military's weakest moment. Exactly those kind of remarks were repeated in the last 24 hours. Clearly, you think it's anything but.
No, I'm convinced that General Asim Munir is turning out to be a consummate politician. He's played his cards extremely well. I'll tell you, Barkha, allow me just 30 seconds. Yesterday, as I was seeing things, the thing which really struck me with great force was the fact that the corps commander's house, even if there was no one inside, and the general headquarters was not surrounded with troops to guard. Normally, in such a situation, as a former civil servant, and General Kulkarni is here, and Aisha ji has had experience, the first instinct is to reinforce forces in the main symbols of state. But clearly, Asim Munir wanted the Pakistan people to see, and the aim was to be able to issue the kind of statement which was issued today. And you see the clarity of the statement.
Yeah.
And anyone who feels that the army will do a deal with Imran, I think is wrong, because that moment has passed. I felt that moment passed the day, and I've been saying this from that very day, the day Bajwa felt that that Imran was trying to interfere with the army because of the Faiz Hamid episode. At that time, I thought to myself that now the rupture is there. What is surprising is that Imran was digging his heels in, and it's quite true, and I entirely agree with Aisha. In fact, I can say this, one Pakistani friend told me, and Aisha ji and our Pakistani colleague will tell me if this is right or wrong, but one Pakistani colleague told me, he said, Vivek, Imran Khan phenomena has ruptured old friendships. It has brought about disunity in families. People have stopped talking to each other. So this was the force of Imran Khan. Quite clearly, he's a phenomenon. And so for the army to seek to really come to grips with it required a great deal of doing. And if you see from November onwards, from the time Asim Munir took over to now, it's more than 5 months.
Yeah.
He has played his cards quietly, shrewdly, and carefully.
Very interesting.
I must say that to my mind, he is proving to be a far more competent, quote-unquote, politico than one had thought he was, because one didn't know much about him.
Yeah, he kept a low profile, unlike General Bajwa, certainly relatively so from an Indian perspective. Dr. Sadiqa, the last word to you. I must connect the dots with the recent controversy around former Pakistan Army Chief General Bajwa, who purportedly told journalists off the record that Pakistan was broke, peace had to be made with India. Since then, we've seen From an Indian point of view, the debacle of Bilawal Bhutto's visit to India. From a Pakistani point of view, Bilawal Bhutto does well. There are murmurs of his aspirations to wanting to be prime minister. We're here picking up all of this. If you had to join the dots between all of these developments, how would you join them?
Even before joining these dots, let me get back to what Ambassador Kaju was saying and say something. See, yes, the army chief has played a sharp game. Let's not forget that Imran Khan phenomena is not independent of the military itself. Military had created an environment and a character which was supposed to, create this other ideology of an alternative Pakistan, cleaner of corruption, better with a better narrative around the world. Imran Khan was supposed to build that. He didn't build it. Now, unfortunately, the problem is that people who are burning down government property, but also who are ready to vote for him, I would kind of stick my neck out and say that there are far more greater number of people who would be ready today. They've already made a hero of Imran Khan, a bigger hero of Imran Khan. You hold fair elections today in Pakistan, he's still going to win.
Yeah.
He's going to gain from this arrest.
Sure, but you're saying he won't be allowed to contest those elections, basically.
So I'm saying that I'm not sticking my neck out for the next elections to be free and fair.
Yeah.
I'm not sticking my neck out and saying that they will really allow him to kind of get back through electoral politics. And I think this is a time, and I think nobody is looking at, and we have not throughout your program mentioned one word about this medium to long-term impact on Pakistan's politics and society. There's going to be a lot of frustration. There's a lot of, I'll tell you, Imran Khan supporters, and I'm not, by the way, an Imran Khan supporter, but I will tell you that Imran Khan supporters and a lot of fence-sitters who thought this man is a hero will probably are going to get frustrated with the system. The anger against the military is real. When Nawaz Sharif opened his mouth against generals, people clapped and people supported him.
Yeah.
They are supporting him more because this is the one who kind of carried the baton, Nawaz Sharif's baton, and even kind of increase the tone and tenor.
Yeah.
So I think that is something which will have an impact. And frustrated societies are never good. That is an important thing. Even if the military becomes powerful, regains control, I think eventually at some future point there will be a conflict between society and this military.
That's very important. Ambassador Kaju, quickly, I have to end. Yeah, one sentence. Go ahead. Yeah.
I would agree with Aisha ji, but as long as the army succeeds in the narrative of the external enemy, and it's very interesting that today they invoke that imagery again.
Yeah.
As long as that image persists, then Barkha, they are safe.
Yeah.
I know the frustration, everything, but till then that's safe, because everything else, that narrative, and they are constantly reinforcing it. They didn't need to bring India in today, but they brought in India in today. You notice this?
Absolutely. I think that's a very perceptive point. We will have to leave it there. It seems more of deja vu than historic dramatic change, albeit manifesting itself in a more dramatic visual way. Thank you very much, Ambassador Kaju, General Kulkarni, Ali Moeen Nawazish, and of course, as ever, to Dr. Aisha Siddiqa. Just a programming note, from the dramatic political churn of Pakistan to the relatively a more controlled politics of India. At 8 p.m. we will be looking at the Karnataka elections, so do tune in then. See you then in about 30 minutes from now. Thanks for watching. Take care.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.